You are watching Bloomberg Tech Europe. Coming up, the self-driving race is back on, but the industry is split on the road ahead. 3 competing approaches, systems that use mapping and LiDAR, those that rely on end-to-end AI, and hybrid setups that combine both. Will it be winner take all, or is there space for multiple players? Wayve versus Waymo, a David and Goliath battle of 2 visions fighting for the future of autonomous driving.
Our tech stack focuses not just on the driver, but also ensuring that all of the plans the driver generates, it's Gen AI, of course, so it generates plans, but you have to make sure that those plans that it generates are safe.
Building an end-to-end AI system for driving requires a completely different approach, and this is something that we've spent the last decade building from the ground up.
We speak to Srikanth, Thirumalai at Waymo and Alex Kendall at Wayve and Stella of BYD, plus 2 more companies rewriting the rules of self-driving. Welcome to Bloomberg Tech Europe. I'm Tom Mackenzie. 2 companies then, 2 very different bets on autonomous driving. That's where we start today. Waymo is leading today. Wayve AI is banking on what comes next. Waymo combining multiple sensors, LiDAR, radar, cameras, and detailed maps, and a step-by-step driving system. Wayve AI, by the way, uses just cameras and a single AI model trained to drive from data. That means that Waymo is already on the road today, but needs maps and higher cost hardware and rolls out city by city. Wayve is still testing, but doesn't need maps and uses cheaper hardware and could therefore scale much faster. Both will launch in London later this year, going head to head. Waymo works now. Wayve could work everywhere. The future may lie somewhere in between. So we begin with Wayve, the UK-based company set to launch public road trials of fully autonomous vehicles in the UK this year in partnership with Uber. I spoke to founder and CEO Alex Kendall about why he believes Wayve's approach will define the next era of autonomy.
Building an end-to-end AI system for driving requires a completely different approach to thinking about safety, to thinking about infrastructure, simulation, data, even the embedded architecture you put on the car. And this is something that we've spent the last decade building from the ground up. And what we're really excited about now is that we've got, it feels like, the entire weight of the industry behind this.
And it's really interesting because there are those different approaches to autonomous driving and partially autonomous driving. There's Waymo, which is more reliant, as you said, on mapping and on LiDAR and radar, as well as the sensors. And then there's Tesla with its own approach, which seems, at least from the outside, slightly closer to the approach that Wayve AI is taking. And then there are the Chinese competitors as well, like Baidu and Pony AI, which may be arguably slightly closer to Waymo. Do you think ultimately this is a winner-takes-all market, or is there room and space for different approaches?
The 3 main ones that are emerging, you can sell your own cars. That's what Tesla's doing, but that limits you to only your brand and your fleet. And of course, there's so much a variety in consumer choice. The second approach, which Waymo's taking, is to build your own fleets. I mean, that requires a very capital-intensive operation to go and grow out city by city. We've chosen a third business model, and that's to license this technology to fleets and manufacturers out there. Now, I'm sure these 3 business models will coexist, but we've chosen a business model that we believe is going to be the largest because the majority of fleets or manufacturers of robots, whether that's vehicles or in other physical industries beyond cars, the majority of them are going to, I think, find a more efficient and more effective way to partner with an embodied AI platform, because the AI we build can scale and have the economic and safety leverage of the entire industry that we work with, the data that we're able to absorb and provide, I think, a safer and more cost-effective solution, a more performance solution than what any one manufacturer can build on their own.
When I spoke to Waymo about their approach, they said that what LiDAR and what radar gives them, along with the other capabilities they have, are redundancies, and that makes their system safer. Are they right?
I think that's a complex and nuanced question because it really depends on the product you're building. Some products will be better, maybe camera only, some radar, some LiDAR. It really depends. We believe that different sensor configurations are going to be beneficial for different products. Because we want to deploy autonomy in any vehicle anywhere, therefore we need to support them all. And that's the foundation model we've built. a physical AI model that can drive with camera-only systems, like some of these cars. Some of them have radar, or some of the products that we're building have LiDAR, and it really depends. But the key thing in all of these products is that it's built for scale.
And your business approach is quite different to Tesla's business approach. But in terms of the technology, it seems, at least from the outside, that they're quite similar. What are the key technological differences between what you're offering and what Tesla's offering?
Today, ourselves and Tesla have a similar benchmark in performance of safety, but we've built that with a fraction of the data and compute that we see in that solution. And now, as we scale up data and compute, as we start receiving data from large-scale consumer fleets from our partners around the world, we're going to scale up.
Alex, you're a Kiwi running a global company out of London. Do you feel the weight of pressure of building a globally scalable, successful tech company out of the UK, out of Europe?
You know, actually, sometimes I feel like there's a bit of a hold it close mentality, and what I want to be able to do is actually break out and build a global success story. I don't just want to be a success in the local market. I really think of Wayve as a global company, and I want to compete and lead the frontier on a global setting. And going back to what motivates me, this is an adventure. This is the chance to push the frontier, both technically and now commercially. So I think it's a huge privilege to be where we are today and to have the opportunity to go do this.
Speaking of opportunities, we got to experience a Wayve-powered car firsthand.
Right, welcome to our robotaxi.
There is something unique to London's pretty ancient road system. To what extent does that challenge the way that your models are trained or give you an advantage?
Starting in London, we were out of the thought bubble of Silicon Valley, where you saw dozens of autonomy companies all spurning from the DARPA Grand Challenge and the early Google project, that were all building with the same technology strategy. And to be out of that ecosystem gave us the space to go build something contrarian and build a different approach that wouldn't have been rejected by the industry there. And then secondly, London is a driving environment that is so complex that it almost forced us to take this more scalable approach, because mapping and driving with remote systems where you've got challenges on your connectivity infrastructure, or London is a 2,000-year-old city, so you've got what have you got here? Way more roadworks than you have in San Francisco. I think about 20 times more roadworks. You've got about 10 times more cyclists and pedestrians than San Francisco. And then, of course, a lot, rather than protected traffic lights, a lot more merging, roundabout interaction scenes. And so all of this adds up to a much more complex autonomy challenge that requires a rethink and a scalable approach.
Am I right in thinking our safety driver hasn't yet touched the wheel?
They won't on this drive.
So you've got, the model is actually on the chip stack in the car. The computer is actually on the device.
Yeah, that's right. So we have an AI on board the vehicle that's currently driving this car with 6 cameras, 1 radar. So very low cost, hundreds of dollars compute and sensor stack. This is the kind of stack that can go in mass market vehicles.
Hundreds of dollars?
Yeah, and we're driving around the complex streets of, here in King's Cross in North London. We've got some cyclists on our left, we've got traffic in front of us, we've got a diversion in front of us. And it's driving with everything decisions made on board using onboard intelligence.
The cameras are picking up on indications, whether a car is indicating or not. How does a scenario like that work?
This is the transformative approach that we've taken. Is that traditional autonomy companies would have built a indicator detector, a car detector, a traffic light detector, and then had some logic or learned systems that say how to reason about all of these things.
In scenario A, do scenario B.
Exactly. And you can deploy billions of dollars and create such a system, but it's very complex and unwieldy. Instead, we don't tell the car how to behave. We simply say, hey, here's the end outcome you need. Let the data speak for itself. Learn how to drive in this way and figure out what's the right way to represent the world. And we do this by learning a world model. And that world model is able to reason and predict how things are going to unfold. But we don't tell it what features to look out for. It just learns.
Turning in, no mishaps, very smooth.
Here we go, back at Wayve. How's the drive?
Fantastic. Yeah, very smooth. I felt this was an even more confident version to the version that I joined you in maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Good stuff. I mean, it just keeps getting better by orders of magnitude every year.
Wayve CEO Alex Kendall. Now the counterpoint then, Waymo and its full stack approach, a rules-based system using mapping, LiDAR, radar and cameras. A platform they claim is safer. I spoke to Srikanth Thirumalai about how that approach is already delivering on the road.
There's the obvious, which is the driver, the software that runs the car. But there are two other very important pieces of the tech stack. One, of course, is the simulator, which is this virtual environment where you can test the car before you deploy it on the roads. And then there's a critic, which is a piece of software that's able to detect suboptimal performance in the simulator or in the real world. Because then you can hone in on those suboptimalities and then improve the driver and then verify that those fixes have indeed worked in the simulator. So it's really the driver, the simulator, and the critic is that triad right, in our tech stack that allows us to scale.
You have the full stack when it comes to autonomous vehicles.
That's right.
At Waymo.
That's right.
But some of your competitors are going for a very different approach, the brain-only approach, the end-to-end machine learning approach, without as much hardware, without necessarily those three different components.
That's right.
What gives you conviction that your approach, that the Waymo approach, ends up winning out?
Our tech stack focuses not just on the driver, but also ensuring that all of the plans the driver generates, it's GenAI, of course, so it generates plans, but you have to make sure that those plans that it generates are safe. And so you need to build in safety checks in real time so you can make sure the driver is prioritizing safety. And so it's the driver, the simulator, and the critic, onboard components that prioritize safety, which is an onboard validation layer, an independent validation layer to ensure the driver does the right thing. And when you look at all of that, that's what it takes to drive.
Because there will be some who say that Waymo is winning the present, but Wayve AI, Tesla, maybe others end up winning the future.
I think for us, what we have seen is that the system allows us to learn fast and learn the right solutions to some of these problems. We talk about this Waymo flywheel inside the company, which is this continuous learning loop where we take all of the experience that we've gained and every additional mile of experience, whether it's on the real road or in simulator. And we take all of those learnings, we discover, we learn, we train our models, we simulate them, we validate it, then we deploy it, and then we collect more miles, which is more experience. And it's that continuous learning loop, that flywheel, right, that we build around these three crucial components that allows us to scale.
Do you think ultimately the two approaches converge? Those pursuing the end-to-end machine learning approach end up putting some LiDAR, some radar onto their systems to have that backup when it comes to safety as you start to pare back some of the hardware to meet those cost differentials. Do the two systems start to converge at some point?
I can't predict the future, but I think so, right? Because in the end, we're all solving the same problem. We want to drive safely, and we want to have good solutions to the challenges that we face along the way.
If Tesla cracks L4, fully autonomous, and then they ship across that fleet that they have, how much of a competitive challenge would that be?
We're always looking at competitors, and Tesla is a formidable competitor. And so, I think competition is good, but if there is that breakthrough moment, we'll be right there with it.
Okay, the Waymo approach, of course, being explained, and it is something of a David and Goliath. Head-to-head, this is going to be taking place here in London between Waymo and Wayve AI. Coming up, from autonomous trucks to remotely driven cars, we're going to spotlight more of the novel tech being harnessed to improve mobility. We're going to hear from Vay CEO Thomas von der Oer and Einride's Roozbeh Charli. Two very different approaches. That's coming up next. This is Bloomberg. Welcome back to Bloomberg Tech Europe. A quick snapshot now of some of the recent developments in autonomous driving. Europe's first commercial robo-taxi service has started in Croatia, with customers able to book rides for a fraction of the cost of a regular taxi. Local startup Vern operates a fleet of 10 electric vehicles in Zagreb, the country's capital. The cars are equipped with autonomous driving software from China's Pony AI. And Bloomberg understands China has paused new autonomous vehicle licenses following safety concerns in its robo-taxi sector. The move follows a disruption involving Baidu's Apollo Go fleet in Wuhan. Regulators are now calling for tighter oversight and a full review of existing pilot programs. A Baidu representative didn't respond to a request for comment. And staying with China, in just a few years, BYD has gone from upstart to the world's leading EV maker, outselling even Tesla. Now it's targeting its next frontier, autonomous driving. Executive Vice President Stella Li told me the company is well positioned to replicate its success.
We have the integration. So what we're doing different is, if you're thinking about the autonomous driving vehicle, is the human being. You have the brain, is autonomous driving software. But then you have heart, is hardware. So BYD is the only company we integrate software and the heart and the hardware together. So it's then if we want to do more autonomous driving, then it's one control center to tell you how to move the finger, how to move your feet. Then we can dance well. But a lot of people, they either to do the hardware for autonomous driving from one company, but the intelligent driving, intelligent experience from another company. They need to integrate together. And then software from other people. But we do everything in-house. We integrate everything in-house. So this is the power for BYD. Then sometimes we have we invest 5,000 software engineers to doing all the autonomous driving software. And then the same time, we are open platform. We can work with the best computing company, which is software. And we can work with the best chipset company, which for example, we use NVIDIA, the most advanced chipset. They just announced 1 month ago, and then integrate into our system. And then we can also always use the best intelligent driving experience, a company with voice control, everything into our platform.
BYD Executive Vice President Stella Li. Meanwhile, Swedish autonomy freight firm Einride is preparing for a US listing in the first half of 2026. It's expanding rapidly, deploying 75 electric trucks with Amazon across 5 US states. Here's one of them. You might notice something unusual. No cab.
What you see here is our generation 2. It's a rigid designed to carry pallets for our customers. As you can also see in the front here, that there's, as opposed to what you would be used to seeing at a truck, which would be a cab and a seat for driver.
There is no cab.
There is no cab, exactly. So we've taken the cab out from day one and built the vehicle to be autonomous from the get-go.
To be clear, there is no safety driver here.
There's no safety driver in the vehicle.
I spoke to CEO Roozbeh about the future of autonomous trucking and what it could mean for jobs.
Einride is at the core a freight technology company that helps our customers, who are some of the world's largest shippers, to sort of transition their fleets from where they are today with diesel and manual-based transportation into electric and autonomous. And we do that through the deployment of our platform model, which sort of sits in the middle and orchestrates all the different parts and the different technologies required to drive that transition, and help them throughout that journey, and deploy our sort of electric manual trucks for the first step in terms of electrification, and our autonomous vehicles for the automation of their transportation.
Where does Europe stand when it comes to autonomy in the freight sector? Is Europe leading? And if so, in what parts of the space is Europe leading? And where is it challenged? Where is it falling behind?
I mean, if you look at what's happening on the autonomous side in general, right, freight and robo-taxis, I think what you've seen over the past 18-24 months is the US taking a clear leadership position in terms of the regulatory environment, right? You see, mass sort of at-scale rollouts of robo-taxis in US cities, regulatory frameworks leaning inwards, especially on the on the state state legislative side. So I think you're seeing that, but that's also creating a pull effect, I would say, with Europe, right? We're working across a number of European countries with the regulators in terms of autonomous regulation and deployment, and we're seeing the same inward-leaning sort of attitude in a European context as well. So I think Europe is sort of seeing the opportunity that exists within freight, but also of course robotaxi, but specifically on the freight side. So I think we'll see continued success and Europe sort of catching up to the US in terms of that regulatory environment.
Big questions right now in terms of AI disruption, AI displacement of jobs. Do you face pushback? Do you face political pressure in terms of the displacement of jobs in this sector?
I would say, the way that we've thought about our autonomous technology, I think it is a combination. You're always going to need to have a human in the loop, right, for edge cases, for interaction between at loading bays, for example, or other places. So I think when you think about, a lot of times when you think about automating freight, you only think about the autonomous technology, but automating freight is about so much more that comes into it, setting up the entire operational workflow and operational flow. And so if you look at how we're deploying autonomous technology today, our vehicles are fully autonomous and are driving autonomously. When they're driving, they're being surveillanced by a human in the loop sitting at a remote station, far away from the vehicle in an office setting, supervising that transportation, helping the vehicle take tactical decisions, for example, in edge cases, or interact with humans as required. So I think it's once again that gradual process and actually transitioning jobs into a different set of jobs is how we think about this transition to autonomous.
Einride Chief Executive Roozbeh Charli. Meanwhile, German startup Vay is taking a different route to mobility. Its model, remote drivers deliver EVs booked via an app. Customers take the wheel, then a remote driver retrieves the car at the end of the trip. CEO Thomas says the approach could reshape urban transport and even challenge private car ownership.
Why would you want to own a car that you have to pay insurance for, that you have to charge the vehicle, that you have to take maintenance of? If instead you can just click a button, get a car, an electric car that you don't have to charge, and it's similarly priced down the line as your private personal car. And that's where the massive business opportunity comes if you speak from a business perspective, because we're not only going after the ride-hailing rides, which can be 3, 4, 5% of trips in cities, but we actually really want to be seen as the company that replace private car ownership, which is the vast majority of trips in the cities. And hence, if you think about the market opportunity, we believe this to be approximately 10x the size of ride-hailing at full scale.
Vay CEO Thomas then on potentially replacing private car ownership with their model of autonomy. Now, don't miss the next episode of Bloomberg Tech Europe. It's going to air on June the 12th here on Bloomberg Television. You can also watch on the terminal on the YouTube platform as well, and of course on Bloomberg.com/video. That is it for Bloomberg Tech Europe. The Pulse is up next. This is Bloomberg.